Hi guys, Russ here from Wilson Land and Cattle Company. Finally got a sunny day here today, but the soils are very wet. So today we're cutting, it's November 1st, we're cutting the first of our firewood, which I would have liked to have done by now, but you know how things work out. Okay, I got a lot of things I want to show you here today on cutting firewood. Some things that will help you out, keeping your chain a little bit sharper. I'm gonna show you how I sharpen my chainsaws when we get done here today. We always sharpen our saws when we get done, so we don't have to do it before we go out. And today we're running a Husqvarna 272. It is a Husqvarna 272 clone. And we're also going to be running a Husqvarna 372 XP, which is a clone of the Husqvarna 372 XP. Both very, very good chainsaws. The Husqvarna, they're very inexpensive. I paid 175 bucks for this one. I paid 192 for this one, and that's with shipping to the door from China. So, you know, this chainsaw here, brand new, in its prime, they were getting 1,200 bucks a piece for them. So I can buy a lot of chainsaws or wear a lot of chainsaws out for the same cost of what it would have cost me to buy a new one. Now these here are not the highest quality chainsaws, but they're good for the homeowner. And these two chainsaws have a lot of horsepower, so you got to be careful with them. You know, especially if you're not used to running a chainsaw. Could have kickback issues and different things. They're just a powerful chainsaw. So if you're running a large saw, well, any saw for that matter, you got to be very careful. I'm going to be marking my logs, the paint marker. It marks a spot every 16 inches. You can change those wheels out that's on there. You can change these wheels out to different sizes or different lengths of logs, and you can also move it up and down to whatever you need. Man, I can't remember what the name of it is. Oh well, I'll put a link in the description below where you can get one of these. This thing's very slick, saves a lot of time. And then don't let the jug fool you. It says Johnson Red Bar and Chain Oil. And actually what I have in there is canola oil. I've been running canola oil now for 4 or 5 years. I know some folks that run it professionally in the woods. It's the only thing they run. It's cheaper than bar and chain oil, and it's a lot less carcinogenic because of the petroleum and stuff. Whenever that goes through the chainsaw, runs on your chain, it actually becomes a mist, and you're breathing those that oil back into your lungs. So think about running canola oil, and it's a renewable resource as well. Canola oil is a renewable resource. And then we have my bar and chain mix. I run 40-to-1 in all my 2-stroke engines. These here are supposed to be run, the Husqvarna, they recommend running 20-to-1, but it fouls the spark plugs out too much, and that's the old specifications. The newer Husqvarnas and steel chainsaws, they run at 50-to-1, but I run it at 40-to-1 just to give a little extra lubrication and help prolong the life of the engine. We're going to be running 2 different types of chains today. This here is a skip tooth. It's a skip tooth chisel chain. I use it a lot for cutting in the woods, cutting and felling. It's a very fast cutting chain, and it's also easy to sharpen because you have half the teeth to sharpen. I believe there's 12 teeth on each side, so there's 24 teeth on that. And then we're gonna, on the 372, I have what they call a semi-chisel chain, and the semi-chisel chain is mainly used for if you're working on the woods professionally, I used to run them on the landing, the log landing. They take a little bit dirt. You can get a little bit dirtier logs and stuff and still get them cut and not dull your chain quite as fast. Your chain still will dull down pretty fast, but it's not quite as fast as your chisel chain. So you knock that point off of there and you're done. And then as well, we get done today here, we're gonna sharpen these chains up, and I'm also gonna show you, we get a muddy log here, I'm gonna show you how to cut so you're not running that dirt back through your chainsaw and potentially dulling it. So, okay guys, let me get started here and we're gonna see how we do. And I lift them up with my little skid steer. It's a little Bobcat MT52. For a little machine, it's got a lot of strength. The little thing can lift a lot. And you can see here I got four, I'd say they're 12-foot sections of log on there, and it's holding it just fine. And hopefully over the next 2 days I can get this log pile here cut up, and then by then things should be dried up again and I can get back into the woods. Okay, so let's start off. We'll mark our trees and go from there. We're gonna start with this chainsaw. I was having troubles with this one here. The carburetor got out of whack on me and it quit running. So I think I got it running again. I don't know. We'll see. This little guy here does an excellent job of marking. It's fast. You use line marking paint in it. You just run it down the log. You can see. Just puts a nice little dot there. And you can scout. Does an excellent job. Scout, that'll do. That'll do. Okay, I just remembered the name, I believe. I think it's called a Mingo firewood marker. It's a Mingo. Okay, let's get her started up. I think I'm gonna start, I don't know. I think I'm gonna start with the 370 or 272. I haven't run this saw in a while. Your gas goes on the back part on the handle, and then your oil goes in the front part of the saw. And that's how it is on all saws that I'm familiar with. It could be different in different saws, but see, that's a nice clean oil. It's 272. The hole's a little bit smaller on it, so you got to be careful. We'll go ahead and run these two tanks out. Sharpen if necessary. One of the things to remember whenever you're sharpening your saws, don't let them get too dull. It's kind of like a pocket knife. A sharp pocket knife is less likely to cut you than a dull pocket knife. And the same holds true with the chainsaw. If you're fighting it all the time and the thing's dull, you're more likely to get hurt. Just keep that in mind. Okay, let's fire this thing up. And whenever you fire a chainsaw up and it's cold, you want to leave it warm up for a minute or so before you run it at full throttle. It's two-stroke naturally. You run it until it's, or you pull it until it fires on with the choke on. Okay, see, we fired, so we'll take our choke off. Just let it warm up there for a minute or two. The shape of your chips whenever you're cutting with the saw really shows how sharp the saw really is. You want a nice square chip that comes out whenever you're cutting. See how these are nice and square? You don't get those chips so much in red oak because they fracture before they come out. This here's soft maple. See how nice that chip is? That's what you're looking for in a good sharp saw. If you don't have those, you don't have it sharpened right. Whenever you're cutting up in a log pile, you have to be careful that stuff doesn't roll down on top of you. There's been a lot of people hurt really badly or killed from logs rolling down on top of them. So be very, very careful. I have too much help out here. I'm afraid one of these logs rolls on top of them and hurts them. So I'm gonna go ahead and put Scout and the rest of the dogs back in the house. Just not safe for them. Be better off that way. Get that knocked down, a lot safer to be cutting there. Definitely don't want that thing to roll down on top of you. Okay, I got two Doll's chainsaws here. I didn't get a tank ran out of this one before it got dull on me. See the shiny part right there on the tip of that tooth? It's kind of shiny down across there. What had happened with this chain is I caught a piece of wire up in the top of that one log. You can see there, right here. Made this cut here, and see the little shiny spot right there where those teeth hit, and that was enough to dull it. This is my saw kit. I carry this with me on a tractor or wherever I am in the woods. Now, I'm going to recommend you use gloves. I don't use gloves whenever I'm sharpening, but it's a good practice to stay in. Don't have any shape. Okay, so now I always mark my chain. I always mark my chain so I know where I started and where I need to stop. Put it on a log, and then I lean over top the saw to pinch it in where it needs to stay. Then here's our round file. Chain's a little bit loose. Let's tighten that chain up. When you put about 3 or 4 pounds of tension on it, and it brings 3, you can see 3 of the tangs. You don't want it over tight, because then it will wear on your clutch and bearings and your tip, the bearings in your tip. Basically, you just pinch it down. Now, a lot of people try to force the file. Let the file do the work. Turn your file every tooth. I take the same amount of strokes off every time. Hold your file flat, and then most chains have a mark at the back part of the tooth, and neither one of these ones have it. That will show you the angle you need to be at. Now keep in mind, I've been doing this a really long time. I used to cut trees in the woods. I was a logger at one time, so it goes relatively fast for me. And whenever you first start out, just take your time, because there's no point, or you don't need to take them chains to the saw shop to have them sharpened, because they charge you like $4.50 when it only takes you about 5 minutes, and then you don't have all that extra cost of running to the chainsaw shop. And they're gonna grind them, they're not gonna hand sharpen them. And whenever they grind them, it makes them hard, and they're not nearly as sharp as they need to be. Okay, we got her sharpened up. You can see where that shine has gone away on this tip, and you want to make sure you keep hooking the tooth. If you get up here where you're sharpening up too high, it won't cut. So make sure you got that file down in below halfway of the file depth, because if you get up too high, you lose that hook, and that hook's very important. Okay, let's check our rakers. The rakers are very important on a chainsaw. It looks like, yeah, see here, I can catch my nail on that. Let's see hardwood here. Yeah, see, it's still still okay. It's acceptable for cutting hardwood. I like my rakers a little bit lower because it's going to cut faster, but you're going to have a lot more kickback, so be very careful if you get your rakers lower than the recommended. And you can still have kickback, but the kickback's a whole lot worse whenever you're... So I'm going to go ahead and take one pass off with the flat file. That one there's sharp, ready to cut some more. Okay, I want to kind of try and explain something to you here. I'm trying to keep your chains sharp. I'm hoping I can explain it to you. You can see here there's dirt on this side of the tree. We want that chainsaw to be pulling, whenever your tip of your blade's out here and you're pulling across that, you want it to pull out of the wood on the tree. Because if I was on the other side and I pull that dirt back through the tree in my cut, I'm going to dull my chain a lot quicker. So we'll make all our cuts pulling this way, and then say that dirt was on this side of the log, we would start at the bottom of the log and we would cut up with our chain and push that dirt away from the log. That will help you keep your chains a lot sharper, a lot longer. And like I said before, make sure your chains are good and sharp. A dull chainsaw is a dangerous chainsaw. So, okay guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'm gonna get back to cutting here. Try and get these cut up next couple days, maybe get some more drug out. Please subscribe, like, comment, share with a friend, and hit that notification bell. We'll see you on the next video. Have a good one.